Hello, and welcome to another episode of New World Comics Podcast. I'm Buck Berlin, owner, operator of this fine establishment. Joined with me this week is Brook Bullock.
Hey, I'm so excited to be back. This is my second time on the show.
Heck yeah, man! and you're here on your birthday. I'm so excited to have you. And wow,
like you asked, and I didn't even say anything about it being my birthday. And we walked in, he was like, I wouldn't have asked you if I knew it was you. I'm like, no, this is like the second best birthday present I've ever gotten. This is fantastic.
What's the first? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm just, well, no, it's Pez.
This Batman.
Yeah. Batman Pez. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. So, thanks for being back. So for those that don't know, you're a high school teacher.
Yes, high school English. I speak several fluent levels of English, so kind of like the old airplane joke. I do speak jive.
Yeah.
So from back in the day. Anyway, but so don't worry, you don't have to mind your P's and Q's or anything like that. So,
quick question.
Yes.
Oxford comma.
Heck yeah.
All right. Good.
You bet.
Good.
They're, it's like tails on shrimp,
Yeah, just making sure. Yeah, double space still after the period.
I am an old man, so yes.
All right, good.
Yes, it's still double tap on the old keyboard all the time. So
excellent.
Anyway, my students will send like Remind 101 or Remind, the little, school safety text message stuff that you can send to kiddos and things. And they'll come back in, they'll be like, why? It's a text message. Why are you so perfect with punctuation? Because it's the English language. That's why.
Have some respect.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your parents might look over your shoulder and see that and be like, your English teacher doesn't even know how to, so.
Right. Well, and it's one of those where, just like anything, it has the give and take because, it's the youth who are using the language that are shaping its future. And, that's how ain't became a word.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. It's like Weird Al Yankovic's parody song about grammar. Gosh, not blurred. It's off of the Blurred Lines parody, but anyway, Word Crimes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Drew.
Word Crimes, and he says, that CUL8R, like those aren't words, those are letters, and you shouldn't use them unless you're Prince. And he's gone now. So anyway, but that's awesome. the way it works. Full sentences in your text messages, and that's my soapbox of the day.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's just a quick no.
There you go. Right.
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah,
that works.
Like that's. I think that's the whole idea. But I mean, I'm super old fashioned. I prefer a phone call even.
What?
Yeah, I'm one of those weirdos that's like, hey, let's talk on the phone for forever, and like a long text messages I find so draining and just so exhausting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with the text message, do you feel like when someone says, okay, great, that you have to be like, yeah, that's good. And then like, when do you cut it off?
It depends on who I'm talking with. Sometimes I'll just leave things dangling.
Yep.
Well, because, some people will see that as the invite for further conversation. And sometimes you just,
there you go.
Yeah. And sometimes there are things that need more clarification.
True.
So it's case by case basis. So
depends on how well you know the person, right?
Right, and what you're trying to do, So
excellent. I have become a little bit of an enabler with the thumbs up at the end. I'm like, good deal.
I love the thumbs up so much, but I also feel like it's borderline passive aggressive.
Oh yeah.
Like if it's just the here you go. Fine, whatever. Whatever you said is fine. I don't care anymore. That's not what I'm trying to get across at all.
Like the cheesy thumbs up, kind of like, sure, that'll work, loser. Go, okay.
Yeah, whereas more often than not, it's the, all right, acknowledged.
Yes, very much so. Anyway, and the fact that there's somebody in the world that cares about you're writing how you should write in your text messages. That's why people think English teachers are the worst. So,
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think who I thought was the worst.
Math. Say it was math.
I mean, typically, my wife is speaks math way better than I do.
Cool.
There are some minds that speak math, and some minds that do not.
That's right.
Mine does not speak math, but language and arts and all the other stuff I thrive in.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the technical, hard-edged everything, I'm all thumbs, and I run out of fingers and things to count on. So
Makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Thus, the calculator.
Yeah. I remember being told that you'd never, you'd never have one of those whenever you needed it when you got older and all. Yeah. Apparently now in schools, phones are encouraged in use in the curriculum.
Yeah, they do that. They do that a lot. Where I teach at, which is actually at Edmond, they've now have segued in Chromebooks, like the little mini laptops or whatever.
Yeah.
And so now they've tightened back down on that, and it's like a not out, not on policy with your cell phone because we've given you the Chromebook, and so that's all you need to do. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, they have it locked down pretty good where you can't, go shopping on Amazon or looking on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or AB, whatever the new thing is. So
MySpace. No more MySpace. No GeoSites or whatever. GeoCities. Yeah, that's the one. I don't know.
But anyway, that's me, English teacher, and
how long have you been teaching?
So I'm suddenly realizing that I'm like an old man. I'm coming up on about 25 years of teaching.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
And the first 3 years were terrible. I remember like my first semester of teaching, it's like October, November, and I'm thinking like this is what I went to school for. Like my parents are going to be so disappointed. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is not working out. But then you find your groove. And for me, it was that balance between like justice and mercy.
Yeah.
And
it's figuring how much of it is dealing with people and how much of it is trying to get across the ideas.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. A doubt. And, right now in Oklahoma, like things are better since the teacher walkout a couple of years ago. But there's still this huge number of like emergency certifications.
Yeah.
And those are people who have said, hey, I'll help. I'll try to do some teaching. But they haven't necessarily done like the on-the-job training of student teaching and practice teaching.
Right.
And so they come in and they might know like the curriculum really well, the content, but they don't have like those dealing with little animals, people skills type of things. And sometimes it can be it's tough. It's so tough.
Yeah. I know some friends of mine who, would drop in sub teaching and they're excellent people, linguist communicators, not that great with the material, but they were so good with people that they got offered a semi-permanent job. And it was but you don't have any kind of degree or anything. They're like, I show up, they pay me. Like that is absolutely horrific.
Yeah, it can be really scary.
Well, because you're playing with like the future people.
Yeah, and that's why that's why those and there are good people doing the emergency certifications, but that's why they're so scary, is because sometimes they're not. I mean, they don't have the skill set, and so.
They think they're helping and they're hurting and
Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't really know math or can't keep kids engaged so that they can pick up the math or the English or whatever it is, that's a skill you kind of need in life lately.
Yeah.
So
it will. And I was thinking back to how much of the stuff that I learned from high school applies to the things that I'm doing. Although, my experience is very atypical because, like the stagecraft that I learned, like that applies so much here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hilarious because, my teacher's kid shopped here for a real long time. Like, it was awesome. But, just the geometry that I learned, basic algebra, the English, just all the different things that I learned apply so much to all the weird stuff that I do, like the different flyers that I put out, the things that I make, any kind of projects I do.
Yeah.
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 So, it's one of those where I had the opportunity to go talk to some kids about, career day. And it was more like, all right, pay attention to school, make sure that your friends are, good for you. And
That's true.
Yeah. And, shooting for the number one goal isn't necessarily what you want to do. Shoot for your goal.
Yeah, that's fantastic
Yeah.
advice.
If you don't want to be a lawyer or a doctor, don't.
Yeah, we probably have enough.
Yeah,
maybe.
well,
I don't know. Maybe nursing. We need more nurses. I know that. So so that's a way to make a lot of money and maybe not have a tremendous amount of debt because you're not going full doctor.
Yeah,
but be great. Welders. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no. Trade schools. Trade schools. I think are highly undervalued.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want everybody that wants to go to college, but you don't need to go to college to make a whole lot more money.
Well, and college isn't necessarily that guarantee of a job or that guarantee of an incredibly well-paying job anymore.
Right.
I mean, you asked me the system's busted enough to where, it's tricking kids into getting these philosophy and English degrees that don't take them anywhere.
Yes.
It's cool. They're having fun and I'm glad that they're learning. But to what end?
Again, weird English teacher humor. There was a little thread in Twitter the other day where someone realized that old kind of pirate song of what do you do with a drunken sailor? That thing, right? It also matches to what can you do if you're an English major?
Yeah,
and it's kind of the same, So
yeah,
there's
Yeah, look at what a welder makes. Look at what an English major makes.
That is so true. I mean, I love my job. Like I said, it started rough, but now I look at it and I'm like, really, it's been that long? And that's what you want. You want something where, you're not going to love it every single day, but
I mean, find a job that you do. I absolutely love what I do, but there's times where I need a day off and I need away from this place. And, there are times that I hate this place with fiery passion. Oh wait, no, it's over. We're all good now. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it's just with anything. It's
You know what I know? I know who some of your favorite folks are in comics.
Yeah,
right. I know that you've got an affinity for a certain number of a team and things like that. But I don't know if I know any characters that you just
that I absolutely despise or hate.
You're just like, those are the worst guys ever.
This is very polarizing, and a lot of people
I'm just now realizing this is a terrible question to ask the proprietor, because someone's favorite is going to be the one that you don't like.
Typically. And here's what I'm saying is just because I don't like them doesn't mean that they don't have their place in comics or whatever. I have my particular reasons for not liking them. I'm not going to disparage you for liking these characters.
Right.
It's just they drive me insane anytime they pop up. And one of these characters actually has possibly turned over a new leaf, and I'm kind of more on board with now. So Gambit of the X-Men.
Oh, yeah?
One of my least favorite characters in comics, because he got introduced and essentially served the same role as Wolverine.
Okay.
For a long time. The only thing he had was like a flashy style to him.
Yeah.
He had
flick things and they go boom.
Right. He had character traits about him, but he was the dark brooding guy with a mysterious past. But he was a thief, which, I mean, how many people do you want to hang around with and do things with that are a thief? Like, this guy would steal from you. Like, do you? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the keys to the X1?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'll give you. He's got a cool look. His power set looks real cool. It's very dynamic. But I mean, he's the guy who sold out the Morlocks to get absolutely massacred by Saber. Like, his involvement resulted in the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of other mutants. And the X-Men are like, you're good. Let's go. Let's all go hang out.
So if it were Gambit World comics, you may not enjoy coming to
No,
work.
here's the thing. If you come in and you're like, all right, where's good Gambit comics? I can show you good Gambit stories. It's just I don't like him as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really like, oh, you're trash for, liking this guy,
Yeah. You know what? You just said something that reminded me of something. So
Yeah.
I not teasingly, but it's, everybody has like a catchphrase or whatever. And oftentimes when I come in, I'm like, this is the best comic book store in the city. And I mean it. And it's true. And so I came in before recording, had wrapped up for business hours. And I was like, okay, I've got this. Like, are you the best comic book store in the city?
To which I said, I try.
And then I said, we're going to find out. And I asked for something because I had seen something that kind of got responded in my childhood and created some nostalgia. And it was moments, mere moments. And boom, Buck pulls Dragonlance Comics by DC. Fantastic issue number 1, published by TSR or with TSR.
Yeah.
Anyway, right over there. And I was just like, no way.
Yeah, my favorite thing about the store is our back issues. Like it bothers me when I hear that stores won't carry them anymore. Like but all of the past, all the history.
Yeah.
There's so
the nostalgia.
Yeah. Well, and
it's fantastic.
I mean, it's one thing to push whatever's coming out new, but whatever's coming out new isn't always the greatest.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying this is going to be like a great intellectual read or anything like that, but it connects with me from my childhood.
And that's what's important about, going back and reading these things is, what it means to you.
Right.
Yeah.
There's, speaking of, and we're kind of going off the notes or whatever, but anyway, so speaking of, Camelot 3000.
Yeah, the old Brian Boland series.
Yeah. I remember reading that whenever I was younger. I don't know how young I was. And I don't necessarily want to give it away in case someone reads it. But it's kind of a reincarnation thing a little bit, right? And there's something that happens in the reincarnation of two characters that, because of who they are now in Camelot 3000, it creates some difficulties for them as far as their past relationship and lives. And I remember that they finally decide to get together, and I turn the last page, and in my juvenile memory, I remember just being shocked. Dun, 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 like, kind of looking around, wondering if like mom was going to see me reading it and stuff, and I grew up in a really small town and things like that. And so, I was just shocked. And so this was, I don't know, a year or so ago. I came in looking for it, and sure enough, you have it. And I picked up a copy, and I'm looking through, and I'm like, yep. And I turn the page, and whether it's because I'm just older and more mature and wiser now, or because maybe it just wasn't that big a deal to begin with, or maybe because I had seen it once before, I don't remember it being, like, it was, in my memory, it was so much more shocking than what was actually on the page. Like, there wasn't, like, there didn't need to be censor bars or anything.
Yeah.
But at the time, in my memory,
scandalous. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
well, and that's a thing that a lot of people forget about youth, and that's why a lot of teenage drama isn't taken so seriously, is because all the things that they're seeing, hearing, experiencing for the first time, is all that they know. So everything is heightened. Everything is. Like whenever someone's, those teenagers having the worst day of their lives, they mean it.
Well, yeah, because they've only had X number of them because they're 12.
Right. And it's one of those where it's easy for us to do oh, well, that's nice. Whereas it should be, oh, well, tell me about it. Let's help you through a little, so I get that, with the, like, oh, no, it's all dire. Like I remember high school just being like this, live by the sword, die by the sword. Like, oh my God.
Yes. Yes. Kevin K-Mac, who I teach with, he has just fantastic advice that I've actually taken back to my own family because, kids will have a reaction to something and it's over the top. It's too far. I mean, to them, it's super important, right? But as adults, we can look in the scheme of things and go, hey. And so he will often say, like, I understand how strong that emotion is for you right now, but we need to dial back the response. Like, still have that emotion, but find a way that it doesn't overflow, like, to talk geek, Hulk rage or something like that, and it's such a wise thing to tell kiddos that, like, validate the emotion. Like, it's okay to feel like the world is ending, but we don't necessarily have to throw things and have like Hulk smash or fall on the floor in tears or whatever. So, anyway.
No, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's really, and he can say it better than I can. But it's that idea of like, I get your emotion, and your emotion is valid, but your response is over the top. So
acknowledge without demean.
Yeah.
So.
He's really cool. Like, that's an example when teachers are doing so much more than their subject matter.
Yeah.
Because he's not a psychology teacher.
I mean, I remember befriending teachers, throughout high school. Like, I would go around and to say that I was not the atypical student, or to say that I was an atypical student would be an understatement. I befriended everyone I could because, like, I knew I wanted to get away with, whatever pranks I wanted to pull. Not that I was defacing too much stuff, but
But yeah.
Fun was had.
Thing, Fantastic Four on the desk or whatever,
inside Putnam City's high school, there may or may not be some shoes glued to the ceiling. I don't know what they've renovated and what they haven't, but
upside down, like walking on the ceiling, like
totally,
sweet.
I haven't been in since they redid the auditorium, but
was that out of your own web shooters that you like developed that particular?
I may or may not have figured out a way up there. Just saying. Anyway, but
there are now Putnam City school employees who are like, what? And they're going to go on the look.
I think there's one or two teachers that are, still there from when but it's always fun to go back. But no, like I learned so much from the teachers just as people.
Yeah,
because their job first and foremost is to make sure that you're not getting in any trouble, you're not going to hurt anyone, kill anyone, that kind of thing.
True.
And then when they realize that you're an okay student, then they'll level with you as a person.
Yeah, that's true. It really, I tell kiddos all the time that, like, what we're learning in high school curriculum-wise is really important. It's going to help you, make money or just be a productive person and a happy person later on. But there's a lot of high school where we're kind of jumping through the hoops because it's the social rules that you need to learn.
Right.
About how to get along with people, or to understand that there are limits, or that, just because you want to do it doesn't mean you can, because it might hurt someone else or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
which brings me to something that you've been involved in with the last 3 or 4 years.
Maybe so.
The Edmond Minicon.
Yes. So
you asked me to be part of, I think, the first one or the second one.
It may have been the second one, maybe. So yeah. So, and that's a cool thing where teachers are doing stuff outside of the classroom and connecting with kids, and it's really where kids come and say, "Hey, we'd like to do this thing. Is there any way we can?" And then they find someone who does. But Edmond Minicon is exactly what it sounds like. It is a little itty bitty mini comic convention, or comic, nerd con. In Edmond, it's at Memorial High School, and it was started. Like 5 years ago, but there's only been 4.
Which I understand exactly how that goes.
Yep. Jennifer Babb, the library media specialist, started it, ran it for a couple of years, and then she had an illness and had to, take a break. And so that year nothing happened. But then she, with a team, got it together, in 2018, and then 2019 was kind of the resurgence of that. And 2019, we are looking at preliminary numbers, but we basically tripled in size.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was such a good time. Not that I ever had a bad time, but this was heads and shoulders above everything else.
Well, and that's that. It all it's like on the team and stuff. Melanie Stevens and Greg Oppel and myself were kind of the triumvirate on that or whatever. And she is a super awesome detail person. Melanie is. It's like, hey, let's do a Minicon. I'm like, that's a great idea. We should pick a day. Yeah, a day would be good, whereas, I see the forest and she sees like the veins in the leaves of the trees. Like she is super detail oriented and awesome. And then Greg reached out to so many of our vendors, and we just had fantastic stuff there. Kate Swearingen was involved because we have a brand new esports team up there, and so they did like a Smash Brothers tournament and had open play video games for it as well. And then there's just a whole bunch of people, Thomas and Amanda and Michelle and then our admin team of Keith and Tony and Sally. They were all out there at one point or another. It was just a fantastic community effort, and there were just all kinds of vendors, but you guys were there.
You graciously invited us back out.
No, we're super excited.
I love being involved in it, and you all did what I think is most important here in Oklahoma is building that community.
Yes,
you're showing people that have interest in. We'll say the nerd stuff. That it's all okay to be deeply impassioned in these aspects of culture that you love, and that yes, there's a time and place where you can really delve deep in public, but it's not an everyday kind of thing,
right?
Just because so many people are going to get lost in.
The sports fanatic, you don't necessarily see him wearing his face paint and, waving the school flag, screaming down the street every day.
Right.
But you see him in the stadium going bonkers.
Yeah, and that's amazing because you get super excited that they're having such a good time. It's one of those where it builds that feeling.
Yes. That happened. We had UCO Chess and Games Club, University of Central Oklahoma. Their Chess and Games Club came out, and then we also had about 5 tables of role-playing games going on.
Yeah.
So there was like Star Wars and Eberron and a couple D&D tables, and Catalyst Games was out there with BattleTech, and it was really fun. But what you just said, there was a moment in which some of the UCO folks were playing some games. I don't know what board games or a card game or something like that, and there was like something epic happened, and like. We're in our for lack of better purposes, our convention hall. It was really like the cafeteria, but with the tables all rearranged.
Square footage wise, it's your hall.
Yeah. And so your hall, and so something epic happened at this table, and that table of young people went, huzzah! They go all crazy.
Oh, the hall rang. It was just.
And then from that moment onward, the volume of everything went up as people suddenly went, oh, like. It's okay to show we're having a good time.
Yeah.
And the D&D table got a little louder, and the BattleTech table got a little louder, and and there was just all kinds of great stuff. It may have been about the same time that some really great cosplay came in, and the energy level of everything just went up. It was really great. And you guys were there.
Yeah, you invited us out to do superhero school, which I wasn't able to start this year because I had to get. Our Star Wars superhero school started here, and as soon as we opened the doors here for that, I booked it to the high school.
I really didn't think it was something that was going to work because you guys had superhero school here.
Oh, I was going to make it work.
But, it was I was so excited. It was fantastic because when you said, no, we can do it. We'll have like a mini superhero school up there. And I was like, we have like the first franchise of superhero school or whatever. I don't know. The first remote. Well, not the first remote because you guys do superhero school in lots of different places. Yeah. But like there were 2 happening basically at the same time.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how many people were going to be, how many high schoolers or how many, parents would bring their littles out. And I was really kind of nervous about that, to be honest.
And I was expecting a low number of kids, but with, a higher number of high school kids. So I thought, who are some of my stronger actresses that could do this. Who are some of my stronger characters?
Yeah.
That could hold up to the
Yeah.
scrutiny of a middle schooler. So I sent Matt and Sarah out as Batman and Batwoman.
It was fantastic.
And I had Kelsey Rice teach the school. Just kind of.
Yeah.
Make sure that everything flowed smoothly.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Like she's my go-to number 2 when, whenever
Right,
Lori's
right.
out. Like she's phenomenal. She actually just got her teaching degree.
Oh,
So, yeah.
very nice.
But yeah, I got to show up right before Batwoman came out to talk
Dun,
to
dun,
everyone.
dun.
And it was fantastic seeing not only the small kids that were there, which
Yep.
there were a lot of small kids.
We were so surprised and so super excited that moms and dads brought their kids out.
Yeah, and then the teenagers were asking questions.
Yes.
The parents were asking questions because we decided not to do the typical superhero school, which is as many characters as you can to
Right.
to interact. We had them come out and kind of talk about their origins, the more faceted storytelling.
Yes.
As opposed to here's a broad generalization.
Yes. So a parent caught me a little later, and she was like, I have a middle schooler. She's 13, and I told her like, hey, we're gonna go, and she rolling her eyes, oh mom, and she's like, no, bring your sister. Let's go to superhero school. It'll be all right. And she said it was fantastic because the 13-year-old was kind of like, oh, I'm in superheroes. Like, this is, but then it started. Mm-hmm. And within about 5 minutes or so, I think maybe Batwoman asked a question or something like that. And the mom says, I look over and her 13-year-old is like sticking her hand in the air going, wait, I know the answer to this one. And it was great because, superhero school is just so much fun. And it's I don't even know where you guys came up with the idea from, but it's such a fantastic thing.
I needed something to combat OU football. Which, I'm not a big sports guy, but outside of Saturday mornings or whenever OU is playing during business store hours,
Right. Things are slow.
Well, yeah, like during the games, it kills business. Outside of that, I am ambivalent to the extreme about an OU and or OSU football. But Saturday mornings just died.
Wow.
Yes. So,
and to talk football for a minute, it's because there have been so many of the Big 12 games that are at 11 o'clock in the morning now.
That's right.
Anyway.
So I had to find a way to combat that. And I realized that typically one spouse is into, the game. One is not. Just absolutely doesn't care. Be it, mom or dad,
right.
Or mom or dad.
Yeah, whatever.
They will take the children elsewhere
and come.
And we found, well, if they're going elsewhere, let's give them a good place to go. So we can get this to a place that will foster learning of the nerd stuff. Like let's get them ready to jump into a comic book because it's kind of easier now. Different set of problems now, but when we first started this, there weren't a lot of comic movies, and
True.
Anytime that someone would say, "Hey, I want to read an Iron Man comic," they didn't know who War Machine was. They didn't know who Hawkeye was. They didn't really know, the importance of Ghost or when Spice Master comes up, or that kind of stuff. So we have them in superhero school. So we start off with your A-list characters and go through your Z-list characters, and whoever the important characters are that when you jump into comics you might come across, because it's easier to have that point of context of, oh, this is good guy, bad guy. This is their role that they play. This guy's a little silly. This guy's really serious. This is I just want to make sure that it's an easier way to broach the vast sea of comic books that we have.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome, and that you were talking about building the community of geekdom or nerdage or whatever. it was on full display at the little Minicon that happened in Edmond. It was just great.
Yoel had a whole like slew of cosplayers.
Yeah, that was it wasn't brand new, but it exploded this year.
Yeah.
Like we were hoping that we would have enough people to do a costume contest. And then we were kind of getting some feedback and some traffic on social media. And we were like, okay, I think we're going to be able to do some categories, like some elementary and then, middle and high school. And I think we started getting some traffic from a cosplay group. And we're like, I think we're going to have some adults.
Yeah.
And so we then kind of broke it up into 3 categories. And next year we might even have some subcategories of like animes and supers and groups and things like that. Because it just the number of high school kiddos who felt comfortable coming out with their face painted like a panda and antler ears and homemade shoes that were hooves.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was like I was blown away at the number of high school kids that just totally embraced it and came out. It was fantastic. And that's that building the community thing.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. There were characters I had no idea what they were. Like,
There were 3 or 4 of them that I was just, I don't know what that is, but, and,
Well, you helped judge the costume contest for us, which was fantastic.
Yeah, you asked me if I would judge, and it was I think I can.
Because you guys do all your you guys basically build your costumes.
Yeah, I make most of the costumes. Some of my guys they'll Carrie builds all of hers, and her daughter started building her own too. But for the most part, I'm costume maker extraordinaire.
A couple episodes of podcast ago, you guys talked about that in depth a little bit with the saran wrap and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Someday I'll do a small tutorial and post that.
There you go. What, episode 65, 66? For those who want to go back and look.
Drew will know. He'll post it right here.
Woo! There you go.
Yeah, because I want to say it was with Steve Handy.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, so what do you like? If I wanted to get into a costume contest, like, what are some good things that you're that the judges are probably looking for?
So I know I judge a little differently than most, but passion for character is first and foremost. If you don't care who or what you're wearing, then you don't really want to win. Like
Like
if you hate Ninja Turtles and you're dressed like a Ninja Turtle, no, you're not going to win. It doesn't matter if you have.
So you got to kind of embody the spirit a little bit, or a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, because you're giving life to the costume.
Yeah.
You're not just putting on a piece of clothing. Like you are being a character.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
what about, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So what about like, is there a difference between like store-bought and like homemade?
Yes. Typically I tend to go more towards the homemade, for most occasions. Just because that usually shows that there's more of a passion there.
Okay.
For whatever character. Because typically, whoever your favorite character isn't the one that's
hot,
able to be bought off the shelf.
Yeah.
That and the shelf available costumes are pretty low quality typically. That being said, if you buy like a store bought costume and modify it, then man, that's working smart, not hard.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people take Flash costumes and modify the store-bought costume into something that fits them properly.
That's cool.
And they'll highlight the lightning bolts or add shading. They'll mesh out the eyes to give the white effect.
Very nice.
They've added lights, whatever. Just to take it up to that other level.
Yeah.
And they're just using whatever was bought just as the material,
right,
as opposed to that being just the costume.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. We had, so that was super exciting to have all those folks turn out. Did you was there like a particular costume where you thought like, oh, that's really well done, or that's that I don't know where you saw some modification, or you just saw a lot of passion, in something.
So all of the high school kids,
Yeah.
I was floored with. Like they were just so excited to be there, so happy with everything that they had done.
That's awesome.
Well, because you can usually tell with the high school kids because they're happy about a thing, but they don't want to talk to an adult, and they're the first to self-deprecate. It's I did this, but it's just not very good usually, and
Yeah.
like that's what you'll hear from a high school kid is I did this thing. I think it's cool, but I know what's wrong with it. Don't make fun of me. And there was none of that. Like everyone was just like, yeah, this is my thing, and I freaking love it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So to see that confidence was just like, oh my God, this is wonderful. The little kids, were just scared.
Well, sure. They're suddenly in a room full of people all looking at them.
Well, right. But there were a few of them that were like, I am this, and this is my character, and yeah. And cool. The amount of My Hero Academia, oh my God. Everywhere. I'm pretty sure that is going to be currency soon. Like that is.
There was some free comic book day Hero Academia stuff, wasn't there?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's taken over. Man, but yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and then the adults, like there was someone who entered the costume contest that actually went to our superhero school, and she is interested in potentially getting involved. So,
that's outstanding.
Yeah. So look at that, building community.
Yeah, exactly. There was of course, I mean, maybe not. I didn't ask the guy, but Lord Vader showed up at one point.
Turns out Lord Vader was here for our superhero school.
Oh,
and he
most
hightailed
excellent.
it. Yeah, like he left exactly when it was over and hightailed it up there.
That costume was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
he modified it with speakers because the number one problem with masks is you can't hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It had like working lights on it.
Yeah.
And he had the pot. You talk about embodying, the thing. And of course he could dial it down just a little bit if there was a little kid, so you didn't didn't force choke any little kids or whatever. But yeah, like we brought him into the principal's office.
Yes.
And actually I have video and photos of him sitting in one of our principal's offices desks.
Which you'll see right here.
Ta-da! But the principal's secretary, I double checked with her. I said she happened to be working that day. Again, teachers and people given extra time for kids.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, we've got, Lord Vader in a costume. Can he come down the hallway and sit in the principal's desk? And she's like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. Like her eyes lit up too.
That's awesome.
And so it's kind of the dark, because we didn't have the lights on in the office because we weren't given access to the phones and all that fun stuff. And so we get into the door and he's walking down the hallway, and the hallway's kind of shadowy and dark. And I know who he is. I mean, he's right behind me, and it's all cool. And and we had bantered for just a second out of character off to the side.
Yeah.
So hey, do you want to do this? And he's like, cool. But yet, as I'm walking down the shadowy hallway, I can hear behind me, and I kind of look around, and there's the glowing lights, and it's Vader. I'm like, this is kind of, and then the Donetta is her name. She says, I can hear that coming, and that sounds a little creepy. And she got up from her chair and came to the office doorway just as he stepped around the corner, and she jumped. It was fantastic. And then she was super excited, and she was 12 again because she just got to see Vader.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So
yeah, and I mean that's why we do a lot of the things that we do is that it's the nerd community is fairly positive.
Yes.
It's fairly inviting, welcoming, and wants everyone to be part of it.
Yeah.
There's not too many aspects of it that promote an exclusivity.
No, that's very true. Like, you may be nerdy about one thing and I may be nerdy about another, but if we're both at this nerd event, it's community, as you said. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it it's kind of odd to see like the Star Trek kids and the Star Wars kids get along finally, because like even back when it was super, not acceptable to like any of those things, like you were still terribly impassioned about those things and judged,
That's right.
Yeah.
There's kind of that a little bit with the anime vibe. I don't know enough about anime to figure it all out, but every now and then you'll see two anime folks that'll be like, and they'll kind of give each other that Star Trek, Star Wars stare of like, and then they're like, it's okay, it's cool. And then they both go back into their circle.
Yeah, well, because at the end of the day, it's all anime.
Yeah.
Guess where it came from? Yeah.
But that was we had panels too, of course, just like, a lot of Comic Cons do. We had panels, and the anime panel was hugely successful. It was a really strong panel, and that one was run. I mean, it had a teacher sponsor, but that one was run all by students, so it was really cool. And Amanda was our teacher sponsor there that helped out with that. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, and the video games went really, really well. It was just a lot of stuff, and I was blown away with the growth we had this past year. So I'm super excited about next year.
So riddle me this and let me put you on the spot. What would you change about it for next year?
We would probably have like kind of a better registration process, so to speak, for sure.
Okay.
A little something that's either you can kind of pre-register ahead of time, like if there's a particular game you want to play or something like that, we would set that up. And we haven't looked through all the feedback yet, but we know we're going to take some of the feedback of what would you, the audience, what would they like to see, panels and games and stuff, and do that. And we want to tweak our scheduling just a little bit, but we really like the 10 a.m. to 2. It seems to be like just about enough time, where you can come, be nerdy, enjoy your Saturday, and then still kind of go do one other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because you either have that morning to get stuff done,
right,
or just after 2.
Yeah. But behind the scenes, and this may have actually kind of been from Valhalla Games guy.
Steve.
Yeah. So the idea
same Steve Handy from
yeah. So which he was great. He donated stuff to the giveaway table. It was really cool. But he gave us it wasn't a problem for him, but he gave us behind the scenes the idea that if you had someone that could kind of rotate and watch your vendor booth for someone so that they could go take a break, and we were like, oh yeah, like maybe body functions are important. That would be really, so that's something we're definitely going to do in the background next year for our vendors.
Luckily I had, Jeff and Kelsey and Steve were there. So like, and then my buddy AD was there and we would kind of take turns helping each other out on that. So
we're going to try to have some student ambassadors, so to speak, that can help out different vendors.
I like that.
Next year.
Does your school have a leadership program?
They do. And this was the leadership team, which they call Bulldog Leadership Training, BLT. They were actually off at Canyon Camp that same weekend because there was some things that didn't get on the master schedule. So what was great was that all of our quote unquote leadership kids were off. And so all these nerds had to step into leadership positions, which was really cool.
I was going to ask because when it was time to break down and time to set up, I've never been more impressed by a group of kids that came together and had the common goal of, all right, let's get this done. They all worked together. I didn't hear any infighting. I didn't hear any like, no, you're doing this wrong. Like there's, everyone worked so well, offered to help everyone.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that yet. So that's awesome.
I'm super impressed by all of your kids that helped. Like they offered, hey, do you need help, loading your car? Do you need help out the door with this? Do you need, fantastic kids. Absolutely one of the most positive environments I've seen in recent times.
Oh, thank you so much. It's not, it's them, like it's just good kids. I mean,
Right.
and
But-
again, as you said, most nerds tend to be positive.
Right, but I would also say that sometimes good leadership fosters the good kids.
Well, we did have Captain America, kind of Renaissance Captain America there. Captain America in a Scottish kilt, I think he
Yeah.
was. So anyway,
so he's
he was
Scottish American.
yeah, Scottish American
Yeah.
Captain guy. So that's Mr. Awful. So he was fantastic. When you have that kind of goal to look at, it does help Avengers assemble.
Yeah.
And,
I would be remiss to not mention the moment that I saw Michael Cross show up.
yes.
Yeah, from KOSU does the Okie Geek podcast.
Yes.
He's graciously had me on a couple times. He says that the New World Comic Con inspired him to do that thing. So like
that's really cool.
that's way more. I don't know.
That's a big deal around here.
That's almost too much for me to. Oh, that's too much.
Yeah,
but
no, I didn't recognize his face, but when he walked in and I heard his voice, I was like,
yeah,
like, oh my gosh, like the KOSU guys here.
That's kind of the litmus test anymore of whether or not your event has made it. Is if Michael Cross shows up.
Michael Cross shows up. Yes.
Yeah, it's the all right. Well, there you go. Unbeknownst to him, it's his seal of approval. While he, yeah.
Well, Melanie and Greg had a chance to talk with him. I think on the OK Geek podcast, maybe. And what was great was that Greg was the contact there, and so Greg and Melanie, they sit down, and Melanie didn't recognize him by face or whatever like that, and so she's sitting there at the booth with him. And then he turns on the radio voice, as the time starts. He's like, "Hi, I'm Michael Cross." With
he goes super velvety.
Yeah, so you got it too.
Yeah, well, awesome. I was considered that for this, and I thought, no, I want to be as genuine as I can, so everyone has to listen to my, high pitched, deep voice, as opposed to, "Hello, let me sell you a comic book."
That's awesome. I feel like you should talk to me about population control when you do that. So,
the coach says, "Wrap that rascal." Yeah. Population control, folks. That's what I was taught in high school.
Yeah.
So. What a weird tangent.
Yeah, this is weird. So, but they sit down at the table to do the podcast, and he starts speaking in the voice.
Yeah.
And then Melanie's like, "Oh, wait, this is Michael Cross from KOSU."
Yeah.
And then she's just got super nervous because she's like, "I know this guy."
Yeah, he's the NPR guy.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I know this voice. So it was funny to watch and to hear her see that story, or say that story. So that was great. But we had a really good time. So many kids were like, "When are we doing this again?" And it segues the fact that there are, ours is itty bitty Minicon, and then there are others around that are like New World Comic Con.
Yeah, like we have
is huge.
Yeah, we have that. Then there's the Uncanny Expo that's coming up in March.
Sweet.
Yeah. Then there's SoonerCon over the summer.
Right.
And there's little offshoot cons happening all the time. So
Yeah.
And the anime cons are starting back up, so that it's real cool to see all that. I don't know. It's kind of the thing now.
Well, it's fantastic to have you that join us, and we were super excited about the fact that New World was there, and just again this idea that you kind of presented with us of like, hey, let's build community. Let's have a place that people who like certain things can do and go, and if it's 20 people, that's awesome. If it's 50 people, that's awesome. And then if it's nearly 150 like this year, then that's like, oh my God, how big is next year going to be? Like, wow.
Well, and that's the thing is, put on a cool thing. Everyone's going to talk, and the next time it comes around, guess what? They're back.
How big does it get before you can't call it Minicon anymore?
Well, how big's your school?
Speaking of how big, you guys, I don't want to steal thunder, but New World Comic Con, you guys are expanding for the expo, right? Or is
Yeah. So
we can edit this if we need to.
No, it's fine. Yeah. So the con is going to be. We've not officially announced it, but we're soon to officially announce as opposed like this isn't official enough. August 8th next year.
Sweet.
Yeah. We're going to expand to both halls in the expo hall. This last year we were just the main hall and then half the front. We get the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, of course, what's happening in my head right now is bum, 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 ba-da, you know, I mean, like the Justice League Super Friends theme song.
Which honestly was more appropriate for the Centennial Building. It looked like the freaking Hall of Justice.
Kind of looks like the Hall of Justice, yeah.
Well, and the best part of that was in advertising, I was like, come to the place that looks like the Hall of Justice. And everyone's like, yeah, it does. Cool. We're there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Whereas this one is, I had my nephew as Spider-Man for the convention or for the commercials for it. And, the best I could come up with was come to the Oklahoma Expo Hall. It's the building with Oklahoma Expo Hall on it. Because, my snarky, stupid humor like that. Most of the commercials I end up writing and they have that kind of humor. It's whatever snarky, goodness I can come up with.
They're one of my favorite things to watch on the Facebook page.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I just can't. I'm like, oh, there's another one, and I just usually play it right as soon as I see it.
Well, X-Men's coming up, so expect ridiculousness because Xmas is coming.
Xmas.
Yes. Oh yes.
Oh, that's gonna be fantastic.
It will.
No, wait. Fantastic X-Men coming together sometime soon?
So it's looking like maybe in January we might have another Fantastic Four day.
That's fantastic. Oh.
So we're thinking about
the Thing keeps getting better and better looking, may I say.
Thank you.
I mean, he's amazing.
I relinquished the role to Steve Handy last time, and making the new Thing helmet with the new set of skills, more practice, more experience to it. It came out so much better than I thought it would. Like,
did you want to take it back a little bit when you saw how good it looked?
Yes and no, but part of me is like, well, the ones that I've made, those look like me, and that's my.
Oh,
thing.
Very nice, yeah.
That's Steve. He is also the Thing, and he looks fantastic, and he has a great job doing it.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool.
Well, cool. Brooke, did you have anything else you wanted to?
Man, I just love talking with you and just having such a great time being here. So it's fun.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll definitely have you back sooner rather than later this time. We'll have you back in a couple weeks or something. We'll get it figured out.
Just keep the birthday rotation going.
Yeah,
that'll be awesome. So
cool. Definitely.
The anniversary is May. No. Yeah. Don't have it then. That would be really bad. So I'm just teasing. Honey, I know that's not when it is. I just said that. So okay.
It's true. He told me.
June.
Yeah, June. My favorite June. It's the best. This got ridiculous. All right, let's kill it before it gets worse. Brooke, thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for having me out to the Edmond Minicon. It was one of the best times I've had in recent times.
We will have New World Comics, the best comic book store in the city, out every single year that you will come.
Well, thank you very much.
Woohoo!
All right, and we'll see you all next week. Be safe, have fun, don't die, and stay nerdy.